So last class, right, we did with trigonometry. I taught you the sine rule and the cosine rule. Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's where we ended it. Now see, after that trigonometry, ideally speaking, we are supposed to start with basic maths, the calculus part, that is differentiation and integration. That is totally something new for you guys. But then, because after June 20, the exams are coming up, we are going to give study leave for some of you. We're not planning to give holidays for everyone, only for the people who have exams. That is only the ICSE board. For the state board and the CBSE board, I think you don't have any exams. In that case, we don't want to give any holidays because you already have a big vacation. So we should not be missing more classes. For the people who are going for the board exam, we will be taking up extra lectures for you once you are back. So I was thinking we will do the calculus part after everyone is back, and then we will have 3 classes per week. So the load also will increase from July 10th. July 10th, we have time. So from then, I think we can start off with that because that is little different. It's more of a mathematical thing. So let's start off. So today what we'll be doing, right? We'll be doing another chapter, kinematics. So basic maths is still not over. We finished trigonometry, that is one part. The second part is calculus, that is still pending. We are going to get back to that, once this chapter gets done. So today we'll be starting with kinematics. Now, and again, kinematics especially, we'll be doing one-dimensional motion. To be more precise, we also use motion in a straight line. So before directly jumping into the chapter, I want to discuss something here. When I'm calling one-dimensional, we keep hearing this thing, 1 dimension, 2 dimensions, 3 dimension. What is this thing exactly? When you say a body is having a one-dimensional motion, what do you mean by that? We see now we are living in a 3D world, 2D world. We keep hearing these words. What is this one-dimensional?
Along just one axis.
Basically, when you say one-dimensional, right, the motion, straight line. Basically, motion is restricted in a direction. So when you say a body is going in one-dimensional motion, motion is restricted in a line or in one particular direction. Not an exact definition, but I think it works at least for our 11th and 12th. Example, see, it is like this thing, meaning if you have a one-dimensional creature, it knows what is front and back, but it does not understand, it has no concept only. It does not understand what is right, left, meaning it cannot turn its head right and left. It does not have a concept of up and down. Example, this abacus. On the abacus, you have these beads, no?
Yes, sir.
How do they go? They just either go front or back, isn't it? You cannot go them up and down. They can't go right and left. So beads and abacus, right? That's a one-dimensional motion. They're totally restricted. They can't go up and down. They just go, front and back. So that's a one-dimensional motion. Now, if you talk about a two-dimensional motion, what is two-dimensional motion? When you say two-dimensional motion, imagine an ant on a flat surface. When you say flat surface, it has no hills, meaning there is no bumps and no curves. There are no hills and no curves, or no valleys basically. Now again, this is a hypothetical thing, meaning in this world, what will happen. So if you have that creature, right, or ant or whatever, it can go front, back, it can go left, right, but it doesn't know what is up and down. Because you're living in such a world, there is no concept of height and depth. Getting it does not understand what is up and down. You know how the world looks like? Imagine now when you're seeing, right? Imagine you're just seeing straight, okay? Meaning you can't see up and down. What you're seeing is only one plane. At your eye level, you're just seeing one plane. Getting it? So that means now if someone is coming from up or down, right, you can't see the hand. You will see the hand only when it comes in front of your eyes. You're getting a two-dimensional creature will not be able to see anything up and down. It will be able to see only when something comes to your eye level. Now imagine like this thing. Someone is just walking and will cross your, will come to your eye level. You will see them. Once they cross the eye level, suddenly they'll vanish again. So you know how it looks? It's like this thing. If you're standing here and if you're looking straight, this is the eye level. So if a particular something, if a rod or something is going like this is what you will see. You will see only this part. You will see only this part and you will think the rod vanished. You will not see the complete rod. The way you look at it will be quite weird. You're getting it? So, in this thing, what will happen? So a three-dimensional creature, so let me give another thing in this. Suppose if you have a surface like this. You're getting? So this is the surface here. So you know how the 2D creature travels? Suppose if you have an ant here, which is 2D, this will walk like this. If an ant wants to walk from A to B, it has to go on the curve. Just like, the way we walk on the earth. When you want to go from, let's say Delhi to Mumbai, you're not walking in a straight line. You're walking actually on the curve of the earth. You're actually walking a curve on the earth. You just think you're going in a straight line because it is so big. Now see, now that is actually a two-dimensional world. Meaning when you're walking on the earth, you're actually walking on a two-dimensional world. If you neglect the hills and the valleys, now some pretty strange things start happening. So if you have a 3D creature, what he can do? He can make a hole here. He can make a hole here because he understands what is up and down. He can go from here to here directly, na? He can just jump directly from there to there. Anyone seen the movie Interstellar? In Interstellar movie, if you see, there is a scene there. They call this thing wormhole. The wormhole is a concept, where you can travel from one point to another point through the space. You can just tear into the space and just move around. Now, then how it looks, for the person, the ant will think it has walked this much, but this person simply went from here to here. It looks like a shortcut. You can travel large distances in a very short amount of time. And not only that, you will see something even more weird things. The person at A will say, this line is here. Remember this concept, you only see a part of the rod. The person B will also say, no, the rod is also here. Meaning a 3D-dimensional structure can be at two places at the same time. You can travel large distances in short time. You can vanish and disappear. You can appear and disappear. You can be at two places at the same time. So in a 2D world, a 3D creature looks something weird only. Think about it. If someone can be at two places at the same time, they can appear and disappear. What do we call such a creature? God? So maybe God is a higher dimensional creature. Maybe, might be, possibility. So, and the world we live is 3D. This is three-dimensional. So in this case, you have front, back, up, down, right, left. So we got all the three things. So this is the world where we live in. You can look at the corner of your room. You can see the three corners, the three walls basically, the ceiling, the two walls. So you have all the XYZ axis. So the world we live is three spatial dimensions, meaning we're living in three dimensions with coordinates and one time dimension. It's actually a 4D world, but it's a 3 spatial dimensional world and 1 time dimensional world. You know, how does a 4D creature look like? Now we have 3D now. What if there is a 4D creature in our world? If you say Interstellar climax, right, the ending part of the movie, that's actually a 4D world. 5D world actually. See, how does a 4D creature look like? It's a little weird. 4D creature can travel in time. Meaning, for example, if I talk about you, this is your entire lifespan, okay? This is the time when you're born, you're a baby, right? When you're a 10-year-old, when you're 15-year-old. So there is entire, different time spans, so on. Now what happens? This 4D creature, right? The 4D creature can come from here. It can come out of the world. Getting it? It can come out of the 3D world. It can go and enter into the 15-year world. So imagine I'm a 4D creature. I'll come when you're 10 years old. I slap you. I get out of the space. I go back to this space again. Then you know what you will say? Hey, you are the guy who has slapped me 5 years back. Because for you, 5 years has passed. And I will think, no, I just slapped you. I just came from there to here. You're getting us. I can travel through time if I'm a 4D creature. And I can again go back. I can go back to any point of the time in your life. That is how the world looks for me. If I'm a 4D creature, I'll be able to see the time when you're born, when you're growing, when you're big, when you're not there. So I will see the entire time span. I can enter at any point of time. I can come out of any point of time. So in our portion, we have only 1D and 2D. So don't worry about 3D and 4D. That is just to give you a glimpse of it. But, in physics, in actually particle physics, there is a theory which is being developed called string theory. This is a theory which will explain everything. That's what they're saying. The string theory uses 11 dimensions. I really don't know what it means also. Getting it? Now, if someone is still more interested about these dimensions, there is a YouTube video. 10 dimensions. They'll explain up to 10 dimensions. I could understand up to 6. After that, it went over the head. So if someone wants to go and have a look at it, you should definitely try. Up to 6 dimensions, if you understand also, it's a good thing. They start talking about parallel universes and stuff. So that is about the thing. So this is optional. Just watch this. Don't watch a complete movie until sir has told us to watch.
Sir,
Haan.
sir, will you repeat from the wormhole? Actually, I was disconnected.
I am recording it, right? It's not there in the portion, so don't worry. Maybe end of the class you can ask me. Okay?
Okay.
I'll explain at the end of the class. I know wormhole is an interesting concept. But definitely, you should watch an Interstellar movie after this now. Maybe you will understand better. The ending part of the movie, if you see, right, whoever is seen, you will understand. He goes from one box to another box. That each box is a different time zone. So basically, that is a 3D representation of a 4D world. So that's a pretty interesting thing. Let me see if I can.
No, but like Barry said that humans did that thing on their own, like the future.
It's a movie, no? So anything can work. This YouTube comes without a buffer. I hope all can see this clearly. There's a little lag. The video is a little dark also, I guess. How to make it brighter? It's not so clear. Right? So see, you can see a room where his daughter is sitting. That is when she's a kid. Now, there is another room where the kid is big. She's become an adult. So basically, he's seeing 2 different rooms. He's just shouting in one room. The small kid can hear. So kind of like this. This thing is not so clear. Have a look at this thing. You will get what I'm saying about the bike. So that's about it. So let's getting back to the topic. There are some interesting movies which you should definitely watch if you're a science student. We have all our Bollywood movies. There also science is there, but it is hi-fi science. You know, like the hero comes and beats 20 people, but nothing happens. That's a different thing. So that's about the first thing, the kinematics ka definition. Start with the definition then. So what is kinematics about? It is study of motion without inquiring about the causes of the motion. Meaning, we are going to study the motion, but we are not going to ask who is responsible for the motion. Right? That is the first thing. Now, from here, if you look at the statement, now look at here, the word is this thing, motion. How do you know something is moving? For example, if I ask you this thing, is your building moving? It depends. You know, remember this thing, huh? In life now, it is always important. Is this big? Is this line big? No, yes, no, it is big, right?
Depends.
No, no, it is small. You're getting in life, everything is a comparison. You cannot say something is big or small, it is always a comparison. Let's say if you have 1 crore, are you rich? If you have 1 CR, are you rich? Compared to whom? Ambani? Or are you comparing to a taxi driver? Getting it? It is always a reference. So first thing here, when you say something is moving, think like this. We have a train here going with 72 kilometers per hour. There are 2 people sitting inside the compartment, A and B. And there's a guy on the platform, C. So now if you ask A, B will say A is at rest. C will say A is moving. Who is right? Both are right.
Both are right.
Both are
That is a problem. So if you don't define your frame of reference, it becomes difficult to solve the problem. So first thing what we do, we define a frame. We call it inertial frame. That is a word for it, inertial frame. It is nothing but a reference frame from which observations are done. So basically any frame where you're sitting and solving the problems. So now this could be anything. So whenever you start a problem, first thing you need to decide from where are you observing the whole problem from. What we do, we consider Earth as a reference frame for convenience. Because most of the time we stay on Earth only. So we take Earth as a reference frame. Suppose tomorrow, right, if there are aliens on Mars, then the aliens will think Mars is the reference frame. Right? So anything can be chosen as a reference frame. So it is just a matter of convenience. Clear? Now we also define something called non-inertial frame. That is just a definition, there's nothing much there. A non-inertial frame is any frame which accelerates with respect to, the WR2 is with respect to. inertial frame, meaning example, we have a person standing here A. He is at rest on the ground. So A is in inertial frame because he's on the earth and he's not moving. No? B is sitting inside and there's a truck which is accelerating with 2 meters per second square. Since the truck is accelerating, truck is a non-inertial frame. Truck is non-inertial. B is not non-inertial. B is a person, he's an observer. Observer can't be a frame. Truck is non-inertial frame and B is inside it. Therefore, B is in non-inertial frame. I hope you're getting it. Any doubts on this inertial frame part, please ask me. It is simply like, anything that accelerates with respect to ground is called non-inertial frame. So basically, why is this important? For two people looking at the same thing, you can have different answers. A reference is always important. Now see, this thing also has a philosophical side. Like, a same thing can be good or bad at the same time. It's like, imagine a person is walking with a gun on the road. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Jane, you want to say something? A person is walking on the road with a gun. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It depends on what he is.
Depends, na? Is he a police officer or some rowdy guy?
Exactly.
If it is a police officer, we'll be more secure. We'll be like, okay with it. But imagine your friend in the school is taking a gun and roaming in the class. That is a little scary for the teacher and the friends who tease him. So that way. So it is always a reference. The same way, killing a person, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Depends. Again, who kills? If your army guy kills an enemy soldier, it's a good thing. We give him rewards also. But something happens on the road, we put him in a jail. So the catch is that it is always a matter of reference. Right?
Sir,
yes.
If a car or if a vehicle is going on at constant speed with no acceleration, will it still be non-inertial frame?
Chalo. Good thing someone asked. I was waiting. Let's say someone is going at 10 meters per second. Then what is the acceleration then? 0, na? If it is going with constant speed, there is no acceleration. Then C is an inertial frame. Because the acceleration is 0. I don't care about speed. What we're interested is only acceleration. Clear? So a body can go with a constant speed, constant velocity. It is still an inertial frame. The issue comes only when it is accelerating. Since C has 0 acceleration. Is that clear? The only condition is acceleration. We are not interested about velocity. So if you think about that, do you know what is your speed right now? Do you think, are you really at rest? You know what speed you are going? Your speed is roughly around 1600 kilometers per hour.
Oh my
Just
God.
don't realize it. You are going on the Earth's surface and round. Think, I'll tell you one logically. How long does it take for Earth to complete one revolution?
Revolution 365 1 days.
1 day, right? 24 hours. So a person standing on the equator.
The revolution you told, right?
Sorry, rotation. For 1 day, basically. So for one rotation, how much time it takes? 24 hours. That means a person on the equator will complete one circumference. Na? Agreed? How much distance is that? 2 pi r. So speed will be distance by time. Agreed? So 2 pi, what is radius of the Earth? 6,400 kilometers. And what is the time taken? 24 hours. Isn't it? So then if you calculate this thing, 2s are 12s are 4 3s 4 1600. Let's say 3 and pi almost you cancel out. Approximately 1600 kilometers per hour. Na? You can actually calculate this thing. You are going at this rate if you're on the equator. And do you feel a thing? You don't feel a thing. So the issue is that, when you feel a thing, if you have been on the expressway, observe this thing. When you're going in expressway, people hit the speed 120, 130. And when you see out of the window, then you will feel, I'm going fast. But if you're just sleeping in it, you won't even realize. You know, when you feel it, when the driver suddenly brakes, then you feel it. Because when the driver suddenly brakes, he's decelerating. Na? You feel deceleration. You don't feel velocity. Remember that thing. So that was one. So that is about inertial and non-inertial frame. The next part. So after defining the frame, we have distance and displacement. First thing. So what is distance? Distance is, it is the length of the path traveled between 2 points. What is displacement? Displacement is simply line joining, the shortest distance
between 2
or
points.
line joining initial and the final point. So if a person is going from A to B like this, so this blue line which is here, so the person is actually going this way. This is your distance, the actual path which he is walking. But if you talk about displacement, the displacement is this red line. This is displacement. Meaning, when you talk about displacement rate, you behave as if you don't care how you're going. You just draw a line and say, if I go in a straight line from A to B, that's a displacement. But in reality, he's actually walking on the blue line. Clear? That's about distance and displacement definition. I hope everyone is clear till here. Someone is confused here, please ask me. Great, then we'll go ahead. So that's the basic idea there. So let's see a problem on this. Someone is having any time audio issue or video issue, anything, please always unmute yourself and ask. There's nothing like that. If you're confused or you're not getting, you can stop me. Getting it, there is no issue as such. So feel free, interact, and whoever has a video, switched off, you can switch it on. Don't keep it off for long. But if you have any issues like battery going down or something, I do understand. That is okay. Let's see the question. So A, B, C. We have an equilateral triangle. Remember this thing, equilateral triangle is one of the most important thing in 11th and 12th. This thing comes in literally half the chapters, the property. The side is 1 meter. We have our again famous ant at A. There is a point D here and there is a point E here. This distance is half meter. This distance is 1/4 meter. Question is, find distance and displacement when, first question, ant goes from A to D. Second question, ant goes from A to E. Simple one, just distance displacement. Find the distance and displacement of the ant when it goes from A to D and A to E.
Is D the midpoint?
Yeah, D is the midpoint. Na? I gave a half meter D to B. And the full side is 1 meter, so D should be the midpoint. Find the distance and the displacement of the ant when it goes from A to D and A to E.
So the distance from A to D is root 3 by 4.
2, 3 by A to D, right?
Yes,
Distance you're saying?
that is 0.75. Yeah, yeah.
Distance, I think what you're saying is displacement, no?
Sorry.
The distance
Look
is
at the
by 2 and displacement is root 3 by 2.
Distance is root 3 by 2.
Yeah. So you're going from A to D. Now look at this thing. This thing in the purple, this is your distance. No, because distance is the length of the path. No?
Yes.
That's your distance, which is how much? 1
1.5.
plus half meter, 3 by 2 meter. No? Whereas the displacement is this sky blue line. The displacement is the line joining initial to final point. Agreed? Now, if you're joining the midpoint of an equilateral triangle, this will be what? A perpendicular bisector, na?
Sir, from A to E, we have to go from A to B and B to E, or A to C and C to E?
No, the ant is going ABC this way.
A, B, C.
Yeah. The ant goes from A to B, B to C, and C to it's just going round. So for the displacement, see, since D is the midpoint, AD is perpendicular bisector. Agreed? So now in that thing, so what is the height of the triangle then? We know AD square plus BD square is AB square, Pythagoras. So AD square, what is BD square? 1 by 2 ka whole square. AB square is 1 square. We get AD square is 1 minus 1 by 4, which is 3 by 4. Remember this thing, right? This is important. Root 3 by 2. So height of the equilateral triangle is root 3 by 2. So this will be your displacement. Any doubts on this first part, please ask me. If you're clear, please go ahead to the next one, A to E.
Yeah, done, sir.
Got it? What is A to E ka displacement?
1 by 4 meters.
Come again?
1 by 4 meters.
Say root
Displacement.
13 upon 4. Root 13 upon 4.
Haan, Aditi.
It's the
Ritisha,
displacement.
displacement. See now, once check again. That's not the displacement. I think you're. I understood what it is.
So I got the displacement as root 15 by 16. Root 15 by.
No, right? Not root 15. I understood what you did.
Sir, distance is 7 by 4 and displacement is root 13 by 4.
Okay. Let's see. I'll show you. A. This is E. This is D. Agreed? What is distance traveled? Distance is this. This. Agreed? The purple one. So that will be 1 plus half plus 1 by 4. That is 7 by 4 meters. What is displacement? Displacement is from A to E, na? Now see, some of you did this mistake actually. This is not perpendicular. How can AE be perpendicular? AD is perpendicular, na, already.
So we can take ADE as triangle and then we can find.
Right. Then you can do that. This is perpendicular.
Root 13 upon.
Yes. Ritisha, getting it? So now in this thing, if you take triangle ADE, so AE is not perpendicular, right? That is a catch there. If AD is perpendicular, how can AE also be perpendicular? So then you get AE square will be AD square plus DE square. DE is 1/4. AD we already calculated here. How much? 3 by 4 plus 1 by 4 ka whole square. 3 by 4 plus 1 by 16. I'll multiply and divide by 4 here. This is normally how I do. So that becomes 12 plus 1 by 16. So I get AE will be root 13 by 4. That's the displacement. Any doubts on this thing, please ask me. Yeah. All clear with this thing? Any doubts? So equal triangle is one important shape. You need to remember that. I hope you know this thing also. The centroid divides the height in what ratio?
2:3.
2:1. The centroid divides is 2:1. No?
Yes, so two.
Remember that. That thing is also important. Equal triangle is pretty common thing. The other kind of shape which we'll also see frequently is a regular hexagon.
Hexagon.
What do you mean by regular hexagon?
All
Sides are
sides
equal.
All sides are
All
equal.
sides are
equal.
Yes.
yeah, equal. And the angle formed is 120.
Yes. So you should know these two things. All sides are equal when you say regular word, and this angle is 120. Another thing about this, so because it is 120, so you'll see something here. This is the center, na? A, B, C, D, F. If you see, this is actually an equal triangle, right? A hexagon is nothing but 6 equilateral triangles. Clear? So an hexagon is 6 equilateral triangles. Now the question. We have a hexagon, regular one, side 1 meter. So this angles will be 60 degrees. Right? 120, right? It's a bisector, that will be 60. We got a regular hexagon. Side is 1 meter. A, B, C, D, E, F. And the ant is going this way. A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, E to F, F to F. So we have our ant again here. The question is, same thing. Find distance and displacement.
Sir, 5 and 1.
I didn't even finish the question, though.
So from A to F.
A to C. A to F, I will ask you. I have better questions. Chalo, do this thing. A to C, A to D, A to B. Find the distance and displacement. Actually, what we can do now, find displacement only. Distance is easy. Distance, you just add it up now, 1, 1, 1, 1. Find displacement. That is sufficient. Find displacement when you go from A to C, A to D, A to E. Any doubts on this question, please ask me. Get it cleared. Rushabh, question is clear?
Yes, sir.
Vansh? All clear?
So all will be 1 only, right?
Sides are 1, meaning the answer you're saying?
Yes.
No, Raditi. See now. A to C, this length you have to find now.
That is 1.
No, why that is 1? This is 1, that is 1.
Sorry,
Arre,
understood.
that is not equal triangle, na?
So A to D, it is
A
2
to D
meters.
is 2 meters.
A to
What is
D.
A to C? What is A to
That
C?
I don't know.
That you have to. You can't leave the first question and jump to the second one, right? That's fine. A to D is 2. Agreed. Get the A to C also. Right. I'll give you a minute.
Root 3.
Root 3. Someone got it. Who is that?
Tanay.
Tanay, yeah. A pretty common shape in chemistry also. This is called benzene. Keeps coming in chemistry, full organic. Urja, got something A to C? Make a triangle, na? You'll see something there clearly. Manoj, question is clear?
Yes, sir.
Let's see. I'll show you the first one. A, B, C, D, E, and F. So
Yes,
you
sir.
want this length. AC, na? So see what I will do. There are multiple ways to do. One thing, you can use your cosine rule if you remember, or you can use sine rule, or I'll do the regular way. From here, I'll drop a perpendicular. This is 90 degrees because it's an isosceles triangle. Na? 1 meter and 1 meter. I didn't draw the diagram well, but it's an isosceles triangle. These two sides are equal. What is this angle? 60 degree. Let's call this point some G. Then in the triangle BCG, what is sine 60? Opposite side GC by hypotenuse BC. So that is GC by 1. No? So what is GC? Root 3 by 2. Similarly, in triangle AGB, this is also 60 degree. Sine 60 will be AG by AB. You can say by similarities, they're equal, but okay, I'm just showing you one. So AG will be root 3 by 2. So AC is nothing but AG plus GC. That is root 3 by 2 plus root 3 by 2. This is root 3. Hope that is clear.
Sir, we can do it by 30, 60, 90 triangle.
Yeah. You can do that also.
AE
That is
is
right.
also root 3 meters.
Which one? AE also will be root 3
A to
meters. No,
E.
no.
Yeah.
Now if you look at here, this is the thing, na, A to B. That is also same triangle. Na? We just invert, rotate it by some amount. So if you drop a perpendicular again here, the story is same. So you can say here, you can write here similarly. A to E is also root 3. So AC is equal to AE is equal to root 3. Hope this was clear, everyone. If you use a sine rule or cosine rule, you'll get it. I'll show you with the sine rule also. A, B, C. This is 120. Since it is 30 and 30, na? Because it is isosceles triangle. What does sine rule say? A by sine A is B by sine B is equal to C by sine C. The opposite side by the sine of the opposite angle. That angle will be this thing. So what is A ka opposite? BC by sine 30. What is B ka opposite? AC by sine 120. So AC will be, BC is 1, sine 120 by sine 30. What is sine 120? Root 3 by 2. What is sine 30? Root 3. This is faster. So this is an alternate method. Using sine rule. You have done this thing in last trigonometry class. In case you don't know, Don't worry, if you have missed that class today evening, I'm taking at 4:30. You can attend that. It is just a formula there. It is there at the booklet also, which I gave you. So this is one way of doing it. What about AD? That was easy.
So from A to C, I used a different method. Like I used Pythagoras theorem.
A to C. That is another way to do. I know what you did. You will drop a perpendicular here and then you finish it off, right? Is that what you did?
No, like in triangle A and there as O. So in triangle AOB,
Okay.
I dropped a perpendicular on OB. So the distance from B, like half meter it will be. So
Okay.
then I use Pythagoras theorem and
True. That also you can do. Works. It works. So there are multiple ways to do. So if you see, this is the side, na? It's an equilateral triangle. So this is 1 meter. This is 1 meter. So AD will be 2 meters. Straightforward that was. Because each one is an equilateral triangle, all sides will be 1 meters only. So A to D will be 2 meters. That's the displacement. Hope all are clear with that part. Any doubts on this thing, please ask me. Next thing.
So could you repeat how AD would be 2 meters?
See now, this OAB is equilateral triangle, na? So all sides will be 1 meter. Similarly, OED also equilateral triangle. All sides are 1 meter.
Correct.
That means AO plus OD, that is AD, right? 1 plus 1. 2 meters. Fair enough? Yeah. Next thing, a wheel rotates, rolls. A wheel rolls on the floor without slipping. So I got a wheel. That is the ground. So on the wheel, there's a point A. You took a marker and you just, made the small part red. So the question is, find the displacement of A and the radius here is 1 meter. Let me keep it in R only. Radius is R. Find the displacement of A in half revolution. Find the displacement of A in half revolution. If this was an exam, now the first option will be 2R, which is a -1. If you take that, you'll get a -1. Because see, the moment you see this thing, something will click in your head. And the first option will be written there. Whatever hit you in your head, that will be the first option. And you'll think, oh, such a simple question, you'll take it and come. And then you'll get a -1 there. So someone got 2R, that is not the answer.
R whole root 4 plus pi.
R whole root 4 plus pi. I think you missed something in the denominator, I guess.
Sir,
Huh.
is the answer pi r?
No.
So pi r by 2.
Yes, sir. Pi r by 2.
No, I think you guys got the diagram.
Sir, r root pi.
You guys got the diagram wrong. Let me just show you the diagram, then you will realize. The wheel is not skidding, right? Tell me one thing. When the wheel is rotating, let's say when it makes an half revolution, his point is still at the same place. It has come here, na? The wheel goes ahead also, na? The wheel will just not stay there and rotate, na? So what is the displacement? This, right? Are you getting what I'm saying? When you are riding a cycle, does the wheel stay at the same place? The wheel goes ahead also, na? So the point A will go up, agreed, but it is not on the same line anymore. It has gone ahead. Hope you understood. So if I try to show you the full motion, let me draw it full.
Yes, sir.
This is how point A actually goes. This is one full revolution. This is in one full revolution. The point A does not stay in the same place. This shape is there. This path is called a cycloid. It is not a circle. It is not a semicircle. It's a very weird path. It's called a cycloid. Complicated equation. We don't require that. But understand that is not a circle. So this is how point A goes. So from here to here, this is half revolution, na?
Sir, root of 3r.
Root of
3r.
No. This is full revolution.
R whole root 4 plus pi square.
R root 4 plus pi square. I think so. I think someone else told the same thing. I think you both are right. Let's see. I'll show you. But I hope all got the diagram how it goes. The point A actually goes like this. It goes as if it is jumping like a grasshopper. Got it? It doesn't go. Most of you, what you did, na, you guys did this thing. A is here. Half revolution weight went up here, na? And you thought displacement was 2r. That's what I was saying. The first option, that's why people think it is 2r. So you have to be careful here. Now let's see. Let me show you something here. This is important, right? So if you have a wheel here, let's say A, B, C, and D. Now see what happens. So when the wheel is rotating, let me use different colors. Let's say if this is AB. Now what will happen, you know, the point B will touch somewhere here, no? When the wheel is rotating, B will touch somewhere there. If this is BC, the C will touch somewhere here. If this is CD, the D will touch somewhere here. If this is AD, again you get back your A. So can you tell me something? In one revolution, how much did the center move? What is this total length? Circumference, no? You're getting? So in one revolution, center travels one circumference or 2 pi r. That is a catch in this problem. Did you ever thought about this thing? See, when I was a kid, right, in school, 7th and 8th standard, my grandfather used to have this old Bajaj ka thing. So what he used to do, he used to keep it on the main stand, and what I used to do now, I used to go there in the front wheel, I used to rotate for fun. I don't know why. I mean, you guys have all games and all, but at that time, that was a big game for me, rotating the front wheel. And what was more fun thing about that thing was, you know, the speedometer, you have the numbers here. 1, 2, 3, and there is something like 9. This number is rotating. Seen that anytime, the speedometer? When the front wheel was rotating, right, I observed this number was changing continuously. Now think about it. When you're driving your bike or when you're going on your car, the speedometer shows 120 or 100 or 90. How does the vehicle know at what speed are you going? Where does the vehicle get the input from?
Number of revolutions of the tire.
Yeah, this is the logic they use that. What they do, the tire, the tire ka radius, let's say something like 25 centimeters. Then the circumference 2 pi r. So they know one revolution is this much distance. So in your wheel, right, if someone is having Activa, na, you can see this thing. On the front wheel, there will be 3 wires attached like this to the Activa. The one of the wire is this thing only. If you remove that wire, your speedometer won't work. So this sensor will measure how many revolutions you are doing per second. It will multiply into circumference. That is how you get your speed. That is how every vehicle will know how much you are traveling. The whole concept of this thing, the vehicle speedometer, everything is based on this principle. So tomorrow, if you're trying to build an automated train or an automobile, right, automated vehicles, this is how you design them. So I think there was one question which I asked in the last batch. I think I posted in your also. The robot question correct. I messaged something like this thing, na? No. So let's see. I'll show you a robot question. Everyone thinks, programming karke we say, software engineers. What do you mean by programming? It is not about learning some language and putting this apostrophes and columns. This is a homework, okay? You can just try it. So the question is, I have a robot which has wheels. So the wheel, right? The radius of the wheel is 4 by 5 centimeter. That is the radius of the wheels. So the question is, the robot has to go from A to B, B to C. This distance is 10 meters. This distance is 5 meters. So the question is, how or what are the instructions? So if you're in a computer science class and designing a robotic programming, this is what they'll expect from you. What are the instructions to be given so that the robot goes from A to B, B to C. Now see, in this problem, there are 3 steps, okay? Step 1, it has to go from A to B. Now see, you can't tell robot, go 10 meters. How will the robot know what is 10 meters? You getting my point? If you say robot, go 10 meters, how will it go? Step 2, the robot has to take a right turn. Now you can say robot take a right turn, but how will the robot understand? Step 3, go from B to C. Meaning you have to give me 3 instructions. You have to give the instructions in such a way the robot can understand. The robot will not understand travel 2 meters, travel 3 meters. The robot will understand something else. That is kind of related to this question which we have. So figuring out this part is a logic. That's what you do in programming. After that, you put it into coding. That is different. So this is a robot question, just a homework optional. So you can give it a try. Whoever got the answer, you can send me the answer in WhatsApp. I sent it already in the other batch. So far only 3 people have replied. 2 of them got it right. So let's see how many of you will get it. You have time till next week. Before next week, anytime you can just WhatsApp me. I'll reply you back in that. So that is how these things are. I hope this was clear. Any doubts on this part, ask me, or else I can go ahead. Krishna, clear na? Chalo, let's go ahead. Next thing. Average speed and average velocity. I think before that, let me do one more. Then we can go ahead. $130. So I have a circle here. This is point A. This is point B. This is theta. Easy one. We did this something like this in trigonometry. We have an ant here. This thing has a radius r. So the question is, ant goes from A to B on the circumference. Find distance and displacement. The ant is walking on the circle from A to B. Find the distance and displacement. Anything doubt in this question, please ask me. Urja, clear, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did not attend the lecture of trigonometry, so I'm finding
No,
a bit
no.
difficult.
Huh? No, give it a try. No? There's nothing here. See, till now I didn't use anything in trigonometry. No? This thing, there's no trigonometry. This thing, this sine rule I'll explain you today, but all these things you could have solved with
Yes,
Pythagoras
I
also.
understood. I'm talking about the new one.
Which one? The
Yeah,
fourth one. Give it a try. These are not big things. I'm just simply using sine and
this one
cos
we
only.
should do.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Distance and displacement. Anyone got it?
Displacement is r theta.
Distance is r theta. Yeah.
For displacement, we'll use cos, right? Cos theta.
But it's not a right angle triangle, na?
So I did not understand how did we get this distance.
I'll show you. So when it is going here, this is A, this is B. Distance is this, na?
Sir, can we find it by Pythagoras?
Distance, no, right? So this is OAB, this is theta, right? What is AB? So the distance is arc AB, na? What is arc length? Radius into angle. Remember this thing? Arc length is nothing but radius into angle theta, right?
Yes, sir.
So even I was not there for the trigonometry part.
Today evening we are going to do it, but this part is not sure.
Sure.
You don't know this thing?
No, sir.
Okay, see, I'll show you in another way. Can I
Sir,
say
it's
like this?
theta by 360 upon into pi r, right?
We can leave it in radians like this. So when you write theta, we leave theta in radians only. So Diti, see, there's another way you can do then, if that is a thing. For 2 pi angle, how much you have? Circumference, 2 pi r. For theta angle, how much you have? You can use unitary method also.
Sir, displacement is 2r sin theta by 2, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. 2r sin theta by 2.
2r sin theta by 2.
Diti, clear with this thing? You could have used the unitary method also.
Yes, sir.
What about the displacement, people? Displacement is the line joining, na? So direct line. You have to find the blue line. This is your displacement. People who miss the trigonometry, don't worry. Actually, it is only sine cos. We are not using anything hi-fi, but still you're going to do today evening. So don't put that in the head and don't do, have a mental block. Try. It's okay if you don't get it. I'll show you. So I hope everyone is clear with the distance. Okay. What about the displacement part? Now in the displacement part, if you look at that, it is O, A, B. This is an isosceles triangle. Now from here, if you drop a perpendicular, this is D. This angle will be theta by 2. This angle will be theta by 2. Because that will be the bisector angle. Hope this was clear. Okay. So now in this thing, if you talk about triangle OAD, what is sine theta by 2? Opposite side by hypotenuse, no? I hope everyone knows this much, right? Opposite side is AD, hypotenuse is OA. So that will be AD by R. So we get AD will be R sine theta by 2. Similarly, in triangle OBD, we get again sine theta by 2 will be BD by OB. So that is BD by R. So here also we get BD is equal to R sine theta by 2. So what is AB then? AB is AD plus BD. 2R sine theta by 2. This is an important result which I have to remember. Remember this, quite useful. It's going to come pretty frequently. Any doubts on what I did here, please ask me. So this is your displacement. Clear? If you observe every time, right, what I'm doing is that only, dropping a perpendicular and finishing it off from there. The same thing we did in hexagon also. Next one. Average speed and average velocity. What is the average speed?
Total distance by total time.
Yeah, total distance by time. Average velocity is total displacement by time.
Displacement upon total.
So we have done distance and displacement, same thing. Only thing, there's a time extra now. The question. Man walks on the circumference of a circle. Radius 4 by 5 meters in 20 seconds. Find average speed of radius 4 by per meter. He completes 2.5 revolutions. In 20 seconds. Find average speed and average velocity. This is the formula you have to use. A man is walking on a circumference of a circle. The radius is 4 by 5 meters. He's starting from anywhere, it doesn't matter. But he'll complete 2.5 revolutions in 20 seconds. Find average speed and average velocity. Someone confused with the question, please ask me. The question is clear, please go ahead. I'll give you a minute.
$400 meters.
How much?
400
400?
meters per second.
Oh, that is too fast, right?
Huh?
400 meters per second, you know, that the speed of sound is 330 meters per second. This guy is going at Mach 1 something.
10
Created
meters per
a
second.
10 meter per second, okay.
The speed is 1 meter per second, and the velocity is 2 upon 5 meters per second.
Right, Ashley. You're right. Check it out. The speed should be 1 meter per second. It is not 400 meters per second. Meaning, I know you guys like speedsters, but it's not Flash. You can't run that fast. Ashna, you can do this thing then. If suppose what if he does 2.25 revolutions, meaning 2 and 1/4. Same time, 20 seconds. Then what would have been the answer? If someone is finished, you can give it a try, or else that will be homework for you guys.
The speed is 1 meter per second.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But how did you get 400? Right? Tell me now. I'm really interested
No,
in
I-
that thing.
Yes, sir.
Then I multiplied.
Okay. No, but still, I was just wondering like what numbers you could have multiplied or divided to get a 400. Because if you see right here, everything looks 220, 2.5 small numbers. Shall I help me show you that thing? 2.5 revolutions, right? That means see, you completed 1 revolution, 1 revolution, and an half revolution. So what is the total distance? 2 pi r, 2 pi r, pi r. So we have total distance will be 5 pi r. 5 pi, what is r? 4 by 5. 5 pi cancels. This is 20 meters. So what is the average speed? 20 meters by 20 seconds. So 1 meter per second. Hope all are clear with this.
For homework sum is the answer 0.9.
The homework one, 2 and the speed, right? Huh? What about the average velocity? What about displacement, people? See, if he has completed half revolution, means he has come simply here, na? The blue line, this will be your displacement.
So while calculating displacement, will we what will the time be? Will we take that as 20 seconds? Or
20 only, na? See, and displacement, what it says, you have gone from A to B. I don't care how much time you have taken. It has taken 20 seconds to finish off your motion, isn't it? So when you talk about average speed, let's talk about displacement first. What is displacement, everyone? The diameter, right? The displacement will be diameter because you are in the opposite point. That is 2r. That is 2 into 4 by pi. That is 8 by pi. So you get average velocity will be 8 by pi into 20. 4 2s are 4 5s are 2 by 5 pi. Hope all got this thing. All are clear with this? Any doubts on this thing, please ask me. Let's see the next one. Any doubts? Please do stop me. Don't hesitate, or at least leave me a message if you're confused. Velocity is 0. No, Sushant. Just check it out. It's not 0. I mean, you just saw the solution now.
Hello, sir.
Message.
The
Me here, yeah.
average velocity, I don't know.
What is the average velocity? Displacement by time. What is displacement? See, now, if you're completing 2.5 revolutions, where will you reach? You'll come back to B, na?
Yes.
So what is AB? AB is nothing but the diameter, isn't it? So the diameter will be how much? R and R, 2R.
2R, yes.
That will be the displacement, na, Meher? Displacement by time. Clear?
Yes, okay.
6-1. We have our clock. This is A, this is B, this is O. Time initial is 12 p.m. 12 a.m. Midnight. OA is your R's hand. And the length is 1 meter. OB is minutes hand. That is 2 meters. Okay? So basically A and B will keep going in a circle. So the question is, find average speed and average velocity when case 1 both basically average velocity and average of A and B. You have to find basically average speed and average velocity of the tip of the needles, the A and B. When the time is 6 a.m. when the time is 6 p.m. Initially the time is 12 a.m. midnight. You need to find the average speed and the average velocity of A and B when the time is 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So think like this. If you're confused, find the distance and the displacement of A and B when the time is 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. First, you need to get the distance and displacement of A and B. How are A and B going? A goes in a smaller circle. B goes in a bigger circle. This is exactly like the previous problem. Man going on a circle. I just made it into a clock. Other than that, there is no big difference. Anyone confused with the question, please ask me. If the question is clear, you got 2 minutes. Anyone who didn't get what I'm asking or what was given, do ask me, please. Someone is confused how the clock looks, you can look at the clock in your house. So time is initially 12 a.m. Find the average speed and average velocity of the tips of the needles A and B when the time is 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Any answers? Sakshi, got something?
So pi by 6 meter per hour for A, for the first one, 6 a.m.
Okay, now let's see. You're talking about the speed or velocity?
The speed, average speed.
Okay. Let me show you one to you guys, okay?
Yeah.
How does 6 a.m. look like? The minutes handle will be still here, okay? The hours handle becomes like this. 6 a.m. people, the minutes hand will be still pointing at 12 only. Isn't it? When it is 6 a.m., minutes hand will be at 12, the hours hand will be at 6. So, first let's talk about A. First, let's talk about distance. How much did A travel? A traveled from here to here, na? It traveled half revolution.
Pi r.
Pi r. That is pi into radius of A. What is radius of A? 1 meter, na? So pi. Clear? How much did B travel?
360.
6 revolutions, na? In 1 hour, how much will the minutes handle rotate? In 1 hour, minutes will rotate 1 full revolution, na? Minutes handle completes 1 revolution. I hope that was understood. In 1 hour, the minutes hand will complete 1 full revolution. So morning 12 to morning 6 o'clock, it's 6 hours happened, na? So 6 hours will rotate 6 times. Is everyone sure about that? Anyone confused on this thing, please ask me. 6 revolutions, each revolution is 2 pi into radius of B. What is radius of B? 2. 24 pi meters. These are the distances. All should be clear with this thing. Do ask me if you're confused. The hours hand will only complete half revolution, whereas the minutes hand will complete 6 revolutions. What about displacement? Now see, for hours hand, this will be the displacement. The red line, blue line. And the red line will be distance. Because displacement ka definition is initial to final point. So for point A, what is the displacement? Diameter, which is 2 times radius of A, which is 2 meters. What is displacement of B?
0.
0, because it came back to same point.
Yes.
It came back to initial point. So 0. There is no distance only between initial and final. All should be clear till here. If you understood this thing, then the question is over. Anyone, any doubts on this thing, please ask me. Be very clear about this thing. So average speed for A will be what? Distance, 5 meters. What is the time? 6 hours, na? 6 into 1 hour is 3600 seconds. You can leave it like this. You no need to simplify. For B, distance 24 pi meters by 6 hours. 6 into 3600. You can leave it like this. Average velocity. These will be the final answers. For A, it will be 2 meters by 6 into 3600. For B, 0, because there is no displacement. Check out these things. If you're confused anywhere, please ask me. Now, can you try for 6 p.m.? That is how you do for this thing. Try for 6 p.m.
Yes.
Any confusion? Sushant, all clear, right? Ritisha?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bisha Parmar, clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Urja, understood?
Yes, sir.
Mihir, all clear?
Yes.
Okay. Give it a try. I'll give you another minute more. Do for 6 p.m. Pratham, can you?
I'm trying, sir.
Today, what happened? Slow. Normally, you would have answered everything. Shambhavi and Sakshi, both of you are today silent. Today break, yeah? No issue, no issue. Get it, get it. I understand. Lunchtime, na. People are hungry. Brains are not working.
Basically, we multiply the answers by 3, right? To get for 6 p.m.
Will you multiply or divide? Or what?
Multiply.
Okay. People can someone tell me 6 p.m. के लिए total कितना time हुआ? How much time did it happen for 6 p.m.?
Sir, 18 revolutions. For
18
6
hours, na?
yes.
Because 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. afternoon. 12 p.m. to evening 6 p.m. Total 18 hours, na? Time increased. Distance also increased, na, Pratham? The speed will remain same, na?
Okay.
Numerator, denominator both increased by 3. Get it, get it. Understand that thing? Total 18 hours it has now. 12 a.m. midnight to evening 6 p.m. is 18 hours. Six p.m. How will the clock look like? The clock will look exactly same.
Sir,
Yeah.
Average speed will be the same in every condition, right? Because the
True, na?
clock
Speed
was-
won't change. Clock to speed is constant, na? That won't change. You could have guessed it. You're right. So distance, first thing for A, it will be how much? What is the distance for A? It will do one revolution.
3 pi.
It will do one half. It will do 1.5 revolutions. So that will be 1.5 2 pi RA. That is 3 pi. RA is 1. Got it? It will make 1.5 revolutions, people. For B, 18 revolutions because it is 18 hours. So 18 into 2 pi RB. 72 pi because RB is 2. Displacement A will be diameter only. Now see, it doesn't matter how many revolutions you make. You have to take initial and final distance. That is 2R. B is still 0. Re. B is the best thing, displacement. Then average speed. If we talk about A, distance is 3 pi, time is 18 hours. 1 hour is 3,600 minutes. If someone is confused, 1 hour is 60 minutes, 1 minute is 60 seconds. So 60 into 60. B will be 72 pi by 18 into 3,600. You'll observe the speed will remain same for A. If you talk about average velocity, that will change. Because this is only 2 meters, but time has become 3 times. Average velocity will get messed up. B is 0. Any doubts in this thing, please ask me. Yeah, Krisha. Got something?
Sir, have 1.5 revolution.
Think now. Midnight 12 to next day 12. So one afternoon 12 to 1 revolution. Na? Again 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. half revolution. Na? So 1.5, right? Every 12 hours you complete 1 revolution. Here. The clock which you have, it revolves 2 times per day. So half day 1 revolution. 12 to 6 p.m. half revolution. All clear with this thing? Last one for the day. See, now all got energy back. See, all are so attentive now. That's okay. A vehicle goes in a straight line case 1, it goes with speed v1 for time t1. Let me say for speed v1 for half the time, and v2 for the remaining half. Case 2, it goes with speed v1 for first half, and say for half the distance, and v2 for remaining half. Look at the question. Let's say the total journey was 2 hours. Then you're going with, let's say, 40 kilometers per hour for 1 hour and 60 kilometers per hour for second hour. Second question, distance is 100 kilometers. First 50 kilometers you went with 40, second 50 kilometers you went with 60. Two different questions. Huh? First is with time, second with distance. The question is find average velocity, find average speed in both the cases. So there are two different questions. A vehicle is going with speed v1 for half the time and v2 for remaining half. Second case, speed v1 for half the distance and v2 for remaining distance. Find the average speed.
Sir, what's the time for case 1?
Nothing is given. It is not given.
Not given.
You don't require.
Okay.
So what is V1 and V2 value?
Those the speeds of the answer will be come in v1 v2 only.
Okay.
So v1 v2 you can give the answer in terms of v1 v2.
For the first case, is it t upon 2 multiplied by v1 plus v2?
Come again, t upon 2.
Yes.
But what is t? I didn't give you. I simply said half the time and half the time. No? Time is not given. So answer should come only in terms of v1 v2. Let me show you. See. Case 1. I don't know what is the distance. I don't know the time. So let the time be t.
So,
yeah.
So is the average speed v1 plus v2 upon 2?
Right. So let's say this is the first half, okay, time t1. And the second half now, I said equal time, no? Sorry. T by 2, t by 2. Okay. Now understand, I'm assuming the time here. That means in the final answer, time should not come. Because I'm assuming, na, how can that come in the answer? So in the first half, you're going with what speed? V1. And the second half of the time, you're going with V2. What is this distance? V1 into T by 2. What is this distance? V2 into T by 2. So what is the average speed? Total distance by total time. What is the total distance?
V1
T by 2. V2 T by 2. Total time is T.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hare.
So, total distance will be V1 plus V2.
Into time, na? Yeah, this is the answer, right? Here.
Yeah. So, that V1 plus V2 upon 2. So, V1 plus V2 upon 2 is done.
Right. All got the case 1? Understood what we did, na?
Yes.
Always draw a small diagram, so that you understand, okay, this is what is happening. Now, can you try case 2? Case 2, I'll just give you something. Let total distance be S. So, this is S by 2. This is S by 2. Again, answer me S should not come because you assumed it. This is V1. This is V2. Now you try. I'll give you 30 seconds.